TGIF Warriors, we did it. Hope everyone had a good week. At least half of us have a good week, just like the hit rate. How you doing, Ingmar? AJ, Mike, guys do okay? Steve, how are you? Mike, you have a good week, Mike Bergman. Hi, Ryan. Happy Beer Day to you, buddy. It's time. It's happy hour somewhere. Hugo, how are you? Hi, Bran. K-Man's here. Okay. Payman, how are you, buddy? Payman live from Dubai. And Ingmar. Harbor Day. Okay. All right. So, um, a little bit of a development here in the dollar. I just want to point out. Um, just get to it. And it tried to fill a gap right here. Okay. Now, on my platform, the gap would have been filled at this day's low, which was par 56. You can see I had a blue line in here at the gap. It tagged it. Maybe it's enough. I still think there could be another push, but it's a bear market, and we've been moving up for about 3 weeks now. So it could be enough, or we could have some follow through, more towards 101 or so. So my numbers from, all through this period was par and a half to 1.5. So close enough for government work. Euro got to 112. I know a lot of people were looking to buy it. I'm still not long Euro. It's still a negative week, even though it's holding this 200 moving average. So I have to give the downside in Euro the benefit of the doubt. Here's a weekly. So, I mean, there's nothing it did on a weekly basis besides hold the 112 level, which is something we talked about here. Grega talked about it, Blake talked about it, so there's 112. So unless we have a reversal off this and start trading higher on the week, there still could be a little bit more follow through. Here's 1130 on the 9 week. Okay. That would be an area that'd be tasty for me. So let's start off with Ryan. Ryan, was that enough in Euro to say the correction has ended, this long sideways? I mean, we still have a break of this area here, kind of in no man's land, or you just probe it here long side?
Well, as you know, the last couple of weeks, I said there's only two levels. I'm looking at 115 and 112, and we'd
Yeah,
hit 111.97 and bounced pretty much back to that break point around the 60s.
yeah,
Typically, it happened when I was tucked up in bed, so I didn't do anything on it.
yeah.
But that was my level 112. But if we're holding below this 65, 66, 70 level now, then we've got a battle on between there and 112. And if we can't get through 60, 65, 70 here, then we're probably going to have another look at 112, and that might be a bit dangerous, because if we do break there, it's 111.50, and then the 38.2 at 110, 40-ish.
Okay. Um, Appreciate it. That's kind of what I think could still happen, but you never know what could happen over a crazy weekend. So Deanne still can close over 46, tried it again.
Yeah.
That's pretty negative action, I think. That, looks like mainly a stop hunt. They got the stops over this high and we're trading underneath it. But I think this too was an up week in
Yeah.
US dollar yen, right? So
It isn't negative. It's positive because we've been in this uptrend since those lows at the 139. So, mate, and I said yesterday in my analysis on the dashboard, it needs to go and make a new high above that prior 145.90s high. Do that, it keeps the trend going, and I wouldn't be surprised then if it dips back to 145, maybe even 144. And if it does that and holds, then we've got higher highs, higher lows, and every chance of running up to test 147. But that
Okay.
147 will be the 38.2 of the year's trend. So we're still in a downtrend as that chart shows. But short term, we're in an uptrend, and we said it a couple of weeks ago. I think it's turned the corner.
Okay, yields are kind of agreeing with that too. Here's the weekly on yields. And, we had this big week, right? And it tried to correct. Um, they look okay. I mean, I know some people are thinking it's going to fail from 450 and then head lower, but I don't know. With what I see right now, I don't think I'd want to be uh, long notes. Or here's TLT. Uh, we're on our way to test major support here. So if that correlation is starting to reconnect, that would imply higher U.S. dollar yen prices. But yields to me just don't look like they want to go lower.
Yeah. Well,
Any
what's
view?
the reason? What's the reason for them to go lower?
Because that's what people are hoping for,
Yeah.
so that the stock rally could continue.
Yeah. I mean, I would say about hope as a strategy.
Yeah. I mean, there's people talking about employment starting to show cracks. So, I mean, we had a good jobs number, but there's still people looking for softness to appear in the economy. So that's why, there's
Yeah.
talk of recession, not recession, but recession potentially, tariffs causing a recession. It's interesting. I was talking to Jim yesterday, and with what's happening in bonds here, there could be some stress on both European banks and U.S. banks. I said to him, wouldn't it be ironic if everyone thought that tariffs were the issue, and then they even put a deal together with China, and everyone celebrates, but the real problem is that there is the bond market and banks holding long duration paper in Europe and here, and there could be a credit issue. So what finally, really does cause a recession is not as much about tariffs as it is about people not being able to, pay their debt and a lot of bad paper at banks. What do you think?
Uh, I don't know.
I don't either.
We always tend to get that story circulating around. There's always how much debt is out there and whether people can pay it. People have continued to pay it, and there's no reason why they shouldn't continue to pay it. And countries, the struggle comes if countries' incomes are lowering. We've got flat growth in Europe, flat growth in the UK. Where's the income coming in to be able to service all that debt? But all they do is just roll it over. It's the old, remember Mr. Wimpy from Popeye? I will gladly pay you
Oh
Tuesday
yeah,
for a hamburger today.
yeah. I have some friends like that. How about you?
Yeah.
Only it's not a hamburger, is it? Um, all right. So going into next week, and something to keep in mind too, because I know S&Ps have been rallying. But if this is the end of the dollar bounce, and we just had another episode that kind of reinforces a new paradigm, we had a steady dollar, the bottoming around the 17th, 20th. Okay, the 20th. So, a week after the stock market bottom, but it's either been steady or rallying for 3 weeks, kind of like this has. So the dollar low came in here at the 5100 level, and they both been going together. So if we're nearing the end of this dollar bounce, we should probably look for at least coming up here some type of, even if it's not a break to new lows, some kind of correction, just a pullback before it tries to make another run again. So any view on risk, Ryan? S&Ps here?
Yeah, this risk at the moment it's US risk, isn't it? We saw in April
True.
US getting hammered, dollar getting hammered, stocks getting hammered. It's recovered. We've got a things are easing. Even today, Trump saying, "Oh, tariffs on China may go down to 80%. Bessent's in charge of that. That might happen this weekend." So it's continued that the trade risk is lowering. We've got a deal with the UK or an outline of a deal with the UK. We're going to get deals with everyone else. And it's like I've been saying for the last 3-4 months. The end game is getting deals, and if we get over that hump, then risk gets better, and then the economy's got to stand on its own 2 feet. I could give you a quick 6 month view, Dale.
Okay.
We get all trade deals done. Okay, market
Yeah.
cheers it. Over the next 2 or 3 months, we see a bit of weakness in US data because of what's happened over the last couple of months, because that
Yeah.
will maybe filter through. After that, we'll see a dip. The market will get all dovish, and then the US economy will probably bounce back, and then we'll go up again, and everything will be tickety boo. So
Okay.
that there's going to be a lag. You talk about people seeing bad data in the jobs. There's probably going to be a lag where we are going to see some of that, but politics wise, we'll be in a completely different place to where we are now, if it all pans out.
Okay. Nice narrative. Um, okay. Looney almost got to 140. So people were here face live for this trade. I wasn't looking for more than 140. Do you think this is it? We had the pop, or there's some left. I mean, this was actually put in a very nice week down here, but I still think uh, it's not the beginning of anything huge. Um, maybe 140 and we head back down again to take these lows out. You have a view on it, or maybe came in Looney, you doing anything with it?
Hi there.
Hi, buddy.
Well, I mean, so far, so as I planned it, but not really have traded much of it. 139.40.50 to me important. For as long as we are not above, it could cap. But the main supports have all been the big support
Yeah,
zone is holding. So we will see. We have the Canadian jobs report out today, so that could at times be a bit of a mover. So we could be in for a bit of a depending on what the rest of the dollars do, but bit of a flyer if it breaks through that 139.40.50, confirmed through 139.80, and we could be off to the races. But it needs to break. That is always the first
yeah,
request or the first condition, right? For
yeah,
it to break. For the time being, this is still a range, but very noteworthy to me still is that it massively underperforms the Mexican peso. And thinking about the USMCA, it looks like Mexico is a happier camper than the Canadian.
okay. Yeah, what a difference in the two charts.
I'd
So
rather,
yeah,
if I want to be short the dollar, I'd rather be short the dollar mix than dollar cat. Let's put it that way. And
okay,
if I want to be long a dollar, I'd rather be doing the opposite. Long dollar cat and instead of dollar mix.
okay. Great, great advice. Yeah, so identify the
Always look.
relative strength and weakness
Yeah.
and go with that, right?
Yeah, we were talking about it again, and it's what I just endlessly repeat. I mean, you can have an idea on the dollar, but be selective on your dollar pair because the other side of a dollar pair always has as much importance as the dollar itself. We were talking about the impact on the flow show. We were talking about the impact that could a deal, or at least a better reaction by the Chinese this weekend because they will have the key, not the US. China will have the key to how negotiations will go.
Yeah,
About the reaction per correlation on the Aussie. And as I said, I mean, look away from the Aussie dollar because the dollar and the Chinese yuan could have exactly the same reaction if things go correctly or well or bad. But look rather at Aussie crosses if you want to trade Aussie on the back of China US.
okay. So here's that 10-year yield chart, 4 hour. You know,
Yeah,
kind of a breakout here.
yeah, it
Uh,
is.
what do you think?
Yeah, this could run a bit further.
450?
Yeah, and I've been thinking about that, like trade deals with uh, partial tariffs remaining is going to cost um, American companies who import stuff and would then want to produce more in the US. It's still going to cost them more money. So if you want to invest, you're still going to have to invest, and maybe that's a part of what's happening in those yields now as well. And people stick debt on it, but debt.
Yeah.
And we've been talking about debt since I started in markets. I mean, it's 45 years ago, and I mean, it's still nobody's still defaulted, especially not the US. So uh,
Yeah,
I
not
think it's
yet.
more like, huh?
Yeah, not yet.
Yeah, I think, yeah, well, will we see it in our lifetime, Dale? No. That's a big question, right? No, but I
We've
think
never
it's,
had a higher chance than
yeah,
the next 4 years.
and the other thing is, Dale, is that this year there's a lot of pandemic money expiring as well, and you've already touched about non-dollar based countries. There's a lot maturing this year, and
Yeah.
that may actually have a bit of a longer lasting effect on bonds
The
and on bond yields
rollovers.
as well. Hmm?
Yeah, the
Yeah,
rollovers. Yeah,
yeah,
I know.
yeah, yeah. The
Yeah,
rollovers, refunding when it matures.
yeah.
Yeah, it could still have a bit of a longer lasting effect.
Christopherson, star of Rollover. I think it was a movie made in the 80s where they were going to have a hard time rolling debt. That was the premise of the movie. Anyway, um, so let's one last thing to address. What a stunning reversal in WTI from it's the second OPEC increase of production. The news Friday, we already had another one here that took it down. Then they did another one. Now I think they're withdrawing that, but this was Monday's open. Okay. I was surprised they couldn't take out the stops here, but on a weekly basis, and I heard they're bringing over some more planes, bombers over to Iran. Anyway, who knows? But what a nice week. Um, Greg caught the last wave down, but that, we don't quite have a 2 week reversal, but um, if you looked at this, I would say at the minimum, don't be short. So,
And you know what? I mean,
what?
talking about correlations having inversed from what we knew
Yeah,
before
Are you
before
going to
tariffs and stuff.
Canada?
Look at
Yeah,
the correlation between WTI and the US tens just for this month. They're actually positively correlated, which is something that is completely counterintuitive.
yeah, good. Yeah, good point. All right, let's bring the captain in. How are you today, Blake?
Good morning.
Good
Good morning,
morning.
guys. How you doing? Good to see you,
Good.
TGIF. And I am licking wounds. So, I had a big conversation with our traders yesterday. I was poorly positioned for the dollar,
Rally.
rally. When it went through 100.20, I was actually short dollars. And so, like one of our traders in the chat room said today, I'm licking wounds, no gashes in the chest, but lick wounds. And that's the point I want to make sure that I discuss with our, people that are here for free. They're not part of the Forex Analytics community. One of the things that as a trader you have to come to grips with, and if you don't know this already, then everybody tries to make it feel like you'll never have a bad day and it's always going to be rainbows and unicorns. Yesterday I had a bad day. I got stopped out of some stuff. I had to reverse, and I wasn't expecting the dollar to break through the upside, and I took some losses. And but that's part of trading. And I think one of the things that I know our Forex Analytics community does appreciate this quite a bit, because we talk about the realities of trading, is that you will have good and you will have bad days. There are times when you're in sync with the market, and times where you're just poorly positioned with the market, and you get you get out of trades, you get out of bad trades. And that's what happened to me yesterday. So today I'm kind of taking a little lighter, and as I coast in the weekend, kind of regroup my thoughts, and it is just part of it. But you were talking about crude oil, and I do want to mention that crude, you said you'd rather not be short here. We are right up against resistance. And by the way, if you're on Forex Analytics, you can see the blinking light here on basic technical analysis. That means that analysis was out within the last hour. But you can see we're up at the 618 retracement, that, and this was previous support. So I would be a little bit more careful with it. But Dale, I know you were looking to be on the long side down in the mid 50s, which was really, really great support. But now that it's rallied to 10%, I don't know if you
What
want
would
to
be
be
your
long
double
here.
bottom target? And I think it would have to get over your black line, right?
Yeah, it'd
At
have to be over the
65.
neckline. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it
That'd be
would,
75 if it got over that.
yeah, because that's 55 to
Yeah.
65. So 65, 75, add 10 to that. That's where it would be. Yeah, that's correct.
Yeah.
So yeah, and maybe this what's
That
happening
could be a
in
good sale.
India, in the Middle
Yeah.
East, maybe that's one of the catalysts that drives crude oil higher. Who
I don't
knows?
know if they're big oil producers. I don't
No,
think
but it's more of
the area, the geography.
yeah, and any type of geopolitical pickup and risk like that tends to worry anybody who's trading crude, and
You look at
yeah, I
that
mean,
whole area, look at that map, Blake, and you have now, India was kind of an island of stability for a long time, but you have the India right there, and then you have Pakistan, and then you have China, then you have Iran right there. I mean, shared borders with, things where tensions are running high with different countries, depending upon the situation, but concentrated in that one geographic area, could get pretty intense.
absolutely. I couldn't agree with you more. Yeah, so maybe that's something that drives crude higher, and through that neckline at $65. But $65 is going to be a big deal for crude for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah.
Hey, I wanted to just with the euro, 2 weeks ago, I was looking for the euro to actually roll over, and we are now rolling over a little bit. This is a weekly chart on the euro, so you can kind of see. I'll just draw this and then I'll zoom in. This is a broken like long-term trend line, and so you can see that we broke out to the upside. We are pulling back. This move below the 112.50 level, 112.70 level actually has been kind of a bearish breakdown. But right now, and this is a weekly chart, just so you guys can see it. From this low to high, the 50% retracement is at 111.50.
Love that area.
Yeah, I think this is going to be an area that I specifically want to be on the long side of the euro. Moving forward is, I want to be long somewhere down here. But there might be some downside as long as the euro can continue to hold below the 112.70 level, which was the breakdown point yesterday. I think that's a risk. But here we are going into the weekend with, you have Trump saying, well, I think 80% tariffs on China sounds about right. And as we were just talking about in the chat room here, and here's the Forex Analytics chat room. We were just talking about, about the good cop, bad cop. I mean, Trump's saying this right now. So Bessent's in going to Switzerland. He can sit with China and say, well, look, Trump's willing to work with you guys, and he'll lower tariffs. So let's negotiate. That's all that's happening here, and it's funny because I think he just pulled that number right out of. He just probably typed
Yeah.
it out himself, saying that sounds about right. when he types that. And but we don't know what's going to happen over the weekend. So there's obviously weekend risk, and that's something we should be paying really close attention to. I'm going to be probably paring back all my positions for the weekend. I don't want to be exposed because you don't know what's gonna we don't know what's gonna happen, but we got to get through today, I guess. And as you and K-Man were talking, we do have Canadian jobs coming up in about 5 minutes, and yeah, K-Man, you're right. I mean, the Mexican peso is definitely acting better, and we've been saying this all year. Mexico's got a lot an easier work around with the U.S. They've got a lot more to give and negotiate with regarding drugs, immigration, cartels, fentanyl, border security, you name it. Mexico and the U.S. have a lot more to negotiate and work with. Canada, I mean, and Trump said it a lot, and yes, I know there's a lot of Canadians listening in here, which I genuinely feel for your situation, and how we're going here, or how the U.S. and Canada are negotiating. But Trump has made it clear, we don't really need anything from Canada, although Canada is our biggest trading partner, one of our biggest trading partners. But he's really more, I think, can work more with Mexico, and that's why I believe the dollar mex is eventually going to 18. So, but the dollar CAD might be a little bit different story, and the dollar CAD broke out of this descending wedge, and now we have a bull flag pattern going into the jobs report. So a weak jobs report, hell, Dale, we might be right back above 140 this morning. So it's going to be really interesting to watch. We have just a couple of minutes before the jobs report. I want to ask. I'll go to Ryan first. Ryan, what are you looking to do aside from drinking beer later today? What are you looking to trade?
Well, I'm just going to see how far, if it does, this US dollar yen bounces off this 145, 144.90. We made the break yesterday, and if it holds here, then it's got the possibility of kicking on up to 147s. And but I'm also going to be watching this euro dollar on another move into 112.
Yeah, and the euro, we have this rising channel, and this is really critical support, right? This is 112, previous highs from back in August of last year. So
previous highs for decades. It's one of my big five, as I've been saying for weeks. Where you lot have been pissing around in the middle. 112 or 115 is my level, and that's it.
And we're respecting it on the downside. So very interesting level that we should all be watching. And I think we'll be watching it into today for sure. K-Man, what are you looking to do today?
I started to buy cable into 132. Unfortunately, missed my entry at 132.10 for, I think, just 2 pips or so. But still, I've got a little bit still nursing a bit of euro sterling short. And yeah, interesting watch, I think, on the Canadian dollar today, where we close below or above that 139.40.50. That's going to be an area of interest, I reckon.
All right. And Dale, what are you thinking today?
Well, the scenario I've been talking about for a week or so, the dollar rally started to pair. I haven't reversed. I'll reverse if we get one more pop up towards 101.40. I'd start selling the dollar up there.
Yeah, and that's previous support from right over here in mid-April. So yeah, it's the dollar is going to be really interesting how it reacts.
Because you see
today.
that RSI down there near the lows, Blake, if there was a divergence down there, like, well, you could go shorter term.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, just okay. Yeah, you see where we bottomed in April 20th. See that RSI down beneath 30. So that's why I think that there's going to be one more low in the dollar, and will diverge next time we take out the lows.
Gotcha. Hey, and I know Steve is here. Steve, sorry, we just kind of ran out of time. Here's the Canadian data. Heads up. Let's see what happens with Canada.
I bought some Crown Royal.
Better before it gets expensive.
Yeah, yeah. I need
Go
those
short
purple
syrup.
marble bags.
There we
Go
go.
short syrup. It's
Unemployment
okay.
rate ticked up.
Yeah,
Ooh.
unemployment rate ticked up. Participation rate unchanged. Well, no, so our participation rate went up as well by a point. So that might be adding to the unemployment rate. Wages higher than expected, but same as last month.
No
And
real no reaction as of yet.
no, it's
Okay.
middle of the road.
Yeah, middle of the road kind of stuff. Damn, I was hoping we get a little bit of volatility here, but not really seeing it. Steve, Dale, you don't have a guess, do you?
No.
Okay. Steve, I don't know if you're here, but if you're here, wanted to see if you had any comments as we head into this big China-US trade talk weekend in Switzerland.
Uh, I'll reserve comment for when I see stuff really happening, discussions, especially with, you know, the current situation. Don't tell me too much.
Yeah, all right. Well, do you have any thoughts about the price action? We saw the dollar, give some back yesterday. The dollar looks like we're weakening, but is this a sustainable trend in the dollar, or would you just be looking to would you be looking to I'm sorry, what started to break up to the upside? Would you be looking to sell this rally, or do you think the dollar's got some upside here?
I'm not convinced about the dollar yet. We have broken through the recent resistance area I was looking for, but the price action is still extremely slow. And the move higher is still channeled, so it's still, corrective in essence. So I'm definitely not going to be in a rush to jump on the long side of the dollar. I think there are still big dangers for the dollar, for more potential downside from here.
All right, Steve. Well, thank you very much for your commentary. And Dale, I mean, I don't know. It's like I said, we're going into this weekend. I think there's a lot of risk associated with this weekend. I mean, it's headline risk. We're either going to be gapping up or down in the S&Ps.
I think it's every weekend now, Blake, from now on the rest of our lives.
At least for the next 3.5 years. I mean.
Yeah.
There's
Yeah.
it's gonna be hard to try to get ahead of what is basically an unknown as we go into this weekend. I mean, who knows how I know everybody has their opinions. You know, you could sit here in the comments and say, well, China's going to, they're prideful people. They're not going to cower, or, but you could be on the other side saying, hey, maybe, and China needs this more than the US, they need to work out a deal. So I don't know which way to lean. Therefore, when you don't have any clarity, one of the best things to do is close up shop and go drink some beer. Right, Ryan?
Yeah, nothing. Because you know what, Blake? Something will be so compelling if you're patient enough to wait for that to happen that you won't be able to stop yourself from trading.
Yeah.
Because you'd rather be wrong than have the opportunity loss. Those are the trades that you wait for. That you say, okay, this is such a good trade. Yeah, you know what? Prove me wrong. I have a lot of confluence here and everything else, and it's just patience waiting for those because they don't happen every day. I mean, the dollar was a better trade 2 weeks ago than what you're going to do here. But this could be the time to flip. So, I think, long term now for me is like 2 weeks at a time.
Yeah,
that's long term.
Long term for me, it seems
Overnight?
to be 2 days at a time. 2 days is like holding on positions for an eternity. Hey, real quick, we've had a lot of newcomers into Forex Analytix just because we have we have our liberation offer. Remember, this is a limited time offer, but we're gonna leave it for a limited time. But it's because you know, we know that tariffs, as shipping containers are going to be empty and shelves might be empty, and in the next couple months, prices will probably be going up on a lot of different goods. We want to keep this offer available for at least a little bit longer to allow you guys to get really good pricing. So 40% off monthly subscriptions, and that stays as we raise prices. That stays grandfathered as long as you stay active. And
apparently
we have
that
brought.
sale has hit Florida.
What's that?
Apparently that sale has hit Florida because we've had a
Yeah,
load
we
of
were
millions in today.
we were sitting here talking in the chat room, and Gene, who just joined us, Gene was with us like 4 years ago. He said something about Florida. I guess I might as well just go over here to the discussions. He said, "Good morning, I'm from Gene," and then we got a flood of traders that are in Florida saying, "I'm here, I'm here, I'm here, I'm here," and you know, big conversations about everybody that's in Florida, which is pretty cool. So yeah,
Yeah.
we have the
They
Floridian.
can't flip houses anymore.
Hey,
I'm kidding. But you know, anyway, that was a lot of that was going on in Florida. But yeah, that's great. So I want to ask our community who had a good week this week before we say goodbye to you guys. And was there anything that you garnered from F.A.C.E if you're not a member? Long Bitcoin, nice RJP.
yeah.
Okay.
Oh gosh. Did you guys see, since you're asking, and he just said
Oh,
Bitcoin.
great, Mandy.
Nick was long Ethereum. Nick Groves, he bought
Yeah.
Ethereum at 1900. I mean,
Yeah.
that's a ripper.
Nice.
Holy crap. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
what
he's
a
a good
big move.
trader.
He is. He is.
Okay. A good week for Todd. Todd, are you in our community? Okay. You
Awesome.
guys know Todd?
I don't know who Todd is. We have a
You
lot of
gotta-
people that
They don't come into chat. They just use the
no, they
service.
come into chat. They're lurkers, which is cool.
Oh, okay.
You know, I
Okay.
mean, it's
All right.
totally fine. Yeah.
All right.
And
Well,
their
good.
name.
Yeah, Todd's a lurker. He's stalking everyone in there. All right. Well, listen, everyone have a great week. Team Ryan, I want to thank you and K-Man for another week of elite analysis and keeping people out of trouble. And Blake, you're going to rally big time. And that's a wrap, everyone. We're laying it out every week, doing really working hard and long to keep you guys on the right side of things and to keep you guys alive in a very difficult environment. There are a lot of people blowing out their accounts right now. Okay. So really all we could do is manage risk. Someone made a comment about the new Pope. Now there's a risk manager, right? I mean, you know, if you don't take your risk of, going to hell. So you have to hedge. You have to hedge that,
By the big man.
right? I mean, you know, you have to have your stop in so that doesn't happen to you. And I saw someone made a comment about him, you know, how he handles, you know, whatever the abuse cases. The only negative thing I read about the Pope, he's from Chicago. And I think he used to be a floor trader at the CBOT. Just kidding on the floor trader stuff, but he is from Chicago. And guys, have a great weekend. Do your work over the weekend. The weekends are the best time to join because you have like 48 hours to get used to the platform and, you know, walk around it and be ready to trade next week. You know, this could be a great trading week next week as things may shift again, especially if the dollar rally terminates. What should we be looking for? We should be looking for scalps on the short side on equities that I think will, you know, again, I think it was proven again that the new paradigm is U.S. stocks do better when the dollar is stable and they do worse when it's under pressure. So have a great weekend, team, and everyone else have a great weekend, and we'll do it again. Groundhog Day starts Monday. All right. Thank you, Kay. Thank you, Ryan. Thank you, Blake. Don't just
Thanks to
count
you,
your
mate. Thanks to
okay,
you, mate.
bro.
Of course.
Thanks, Coach.
All right. Don't just count your pips, count your blessings, and you know, being able to work with this team and help people and teach people, you know, you don't you don't give without getting. Okay, keep that in mind. So feels good to give. And I'll see you guys Monday. Thank you, guys. Rick.
Tommy.
All right. See all you guys. Cubs or Sox fan? Is he a Cubs fan? Yeah, he's for the underdog, so I'm pretty sure the new Pope's a Cubs fan. I know how I suffered throughout my childhood.
And
Anyway,
there's no effing way he could have been a floor trader and then become Pope. You become like the worst sailor talking smack
oh yeah,
talker on a trade floor ever. So
yeah, you know those guys. In fact, there's a joke. I'll end it with this: that this guy is having dinner with his son, and his son keeps chewing on a quarter. And he says, "Son, stop doing that. You're gonna end up choking on it." So the kid does swallow the quarter, and he's choking, and the dad's giving him the Heimlich maneuver. And all of a sudden, a guy gets up from his chair, comes over to the kid, and kicks him as hard as he can in the nuts. And the quarter just popped out of the guy's son's mouth. And so the father goes, "Oh, doctor, thank you so much for saving my son's life." He goes, "I'm not a doctor. I'm a market maker. We'll do anything for a quarter." All right.
The old ones are the best.
Huh?
The old ones are the best.
Yeah, anyway, I will keep my day job. I know that's coming next. So, anyway, everyone, have a great weekend.
thanks,
See you
coach.
Monday. See
You
you,
as well.
team.
Stay cool out there. It's going to be a hot one.
I know, bro.
I know.
I know.
I'm
Anyway,
97 degrees over here, buddy.
yeah, I know. But then we
All right.
get one more cool down after that, bro.
That's what they
Yes.
that let's hope. We'll hope we get two.
All right.
All right.
All right, everyone. Take it easy. Adios.
Ciao.